back to UnCut, where we get together, get comfortable, get real. Okay, again here with our men, sharing some wisdom, chopping it up. And we posted a question on our social, which got a lot of feedback, which, again, we thank you for joining in the conversation like you usually do. And the question is about privacy. Is there such thing as privacy in a marriage? So, private bank accounts, private texts,
family issues.
These are my family issues. This is my friend only. Passwords. Take it away. Go ahead, Khalid.
For me, I would say no.
There's no privacy.
Like an absolute unequivocal no.
Unequivocal?
Why?
Unequivocal?
Unequivocal.
No,
unequivocal.
It's just no. There's no privacy.
No.
In my and I don't mean that in a way like, oh, I don't have my own. The way my marriage is set up, nobody's like, we have like I need like my personal time to enjoy what I enjoy or get done what I need to get done, and she needs that too. But like, I don't know. I don't.
It's not.
I don't know if it's
personal
not.
time.
It's not even that it's not for everyone. I think it should be for everyone. Like there doesn't.
Okay.
If you're in a marriage and like, you've got like secrets that are like, this is something that I don't want this person to know.
That's not gonna
There's
work.
something about your marriage that's not.
You're not in a marriage.
I have a
Something
question,
about
but I
your
want to hear
marriage.
what you have to say first.
In terms of privacy in a marriage, there's no such thing as privacy.
Why?
Period. Well,
Period.
Here's the thing, right? Especially when it comes to like expenses and stuff like that. If you buy something and your spouse doesn't know about it and you're trying to hide it from them, eventually they're going to figure it out, because there's going to be something, there's going to be a bank statement, a credit card statement that will show up somewhere, or whatever you were hiding, like they can find out and be like, when did this show up? When did you buy this? I mean, say for example, something like, let's just say, God forbid, like
you gotta use that type of example?
yeah, we have to go like that, like, you know what I mean? Say for example something tragic happens and you have to come up with some cash, but you spent your cash on whatever it is, and then your spouse goes looking up and finds out like, hey, like where did this money go? What did you use it for? What's this about? You know what I mean? So like you have to be open and honest and communicate with your spouse, right? And when I say there's no privacy, like, I remember when, like, my wife and I were first living together, it's just like, okay, I could be in the shower, she's using the washroom, and it's just like, it becomes, like, normal. It's weird, but it just becomes normal. I know it's a bit much, but it does become normal, but it's just like, holding something from somebody, that I feel that's just really bad, and especially if say for another example, okay, so you have a friend that has confided to you something that's very deep,
Let's hear that
very
one.
deep and personal, and it is a questionable one, but it should be like this. This is my take on it, how it can work. Ask your friend, like, or tell your friend, is like, hey, if you're confiding to me something and my spouse asks, just know this is what it is.
This is what
the you know what I mean?
I kind of like, so if somebody like, okay, I'll hit it from two perspectives. If somebody's coming at me like, yo, I'm going to tell you something, but please don't tell anyone, you can't even tell your wife.
Then don't tell me.
I'm not the person.
Then don't tell.
If it starts with, you can't tell your wife, I'm not the person.
I actually like that.
Yeah.
I respect that. Yeah.
On the other hand, there's like, dealing with like church and like relationships and people and the things they go through. In some, like, sometimes people will not have to say that to you, and it's just like, out of a spirit of discretion, this is not something that needs to be shared. My wife knowing this doesn't make our marriage better or worse, and this is probably something that's hard for this person. So stuff like that is like, no, out of discretion,
So use your own discretion.
Be mature. You know, be mature and know like, but like stuff like people coming to you, yo, don't tell your wife. Hey, that's probably not even a friend of ours.
Let me challenge the idea, because I know a lot of people, especially in like really cultural backgrounds, believe that if you have family issues, right? If I'm going through some family issues, don't share it with your husband or don't share it with your wife, because these are the same tools that they might use against you in an argument. So a lot of people might think, okay, well, for example, if we have issues with finance, and that's like not even at home, sorry, your mother and your siblings are going through something, or something's happening maybe between your mom and dad in their home, and your siblings are calling you up and talking to you about it. For certain people, they just feel like,
oh, my husband doesn't need
Oh,
to
I
know
see.
about
don't
that.
tell, like, I as a person can't tell my husband about what's happening
With my
With
family.
my family,
family,
because he's gonna then
because
judge.
he's gonna
or
judge the
she's
family.
gonna
He's
judge.
gonna
Or look down on them.
So
Yeah.
I'll
the
say
future.
about that, like, I don't discuss the mechanics of my. I hear what you're saying, but like I don't discuss the mechanics of my marriage with any of my family members,
okay.
Yeah.
and she doesn't discuss the mechanics of our marriage with any of her family members. If there are situations like me or her, we know each other now. So like, if her family member is going through something and they confide in her, she'll tell me, "Yo, this person's going through A, B," and then she won't tell me C, because I don't need to know, and it would hurt that person if I knew.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
So do you think discretion is a thing?
Yeah, discretion, maturity, and like knowing who you're with. If you're with someone who has the capacity to,
To hurt
this
you.
guy's not taking care of me,
Oh.
or this woman, she treats me like this, and they have the capacity to go out there and talk about it like that, sorry, you might have gotten yourself into a bad marriage.
That's the thing.
You know, and now you just
Trust
have to
is a
deal with
big thing when it comes to marriage itself, and like, cause like you said, if someone's telling you something, and you're gonna tell your wife, if they don't tell you to do that, it's like, okay, don't tell me at all.
Yeah.
But you have to have trust in your marriage in order, cause if your wife now goes to tell everybody else, it's like, it kind of ruins your dynamic too, because now you can't trust her to keep secrets, but you also don't want to keep secrets from her.
And
Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And if she's going and doing that and she can't confide to you those things, then it also kills the respect that she has for him. And especially for men, if we're looking at it from a biblical standpoint, there's nothing that says that the woman is supposed to love the man, is supposed to respect the man. And then the thing is, if there's no respect, then there's no love coming from that. And then it's like, then there comes the distrust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scripture works like in entirety. I like that you said that, because the scripture where it says,
Tell him.
wives submit to your husbands, and husbands love your wives. So when you read the scripture in its entirety, what it does is like, without being straightforward, it like works in a circle. So the submission that a wife offers to a husband, it like directly entangles into an action of love, right?
Yeah.
And
The
the
love
love that
comes-
the husband offers a wife, it directly entangles into an action of submission of, I have to do whatever I have to do to love this person. So like, it's like, it looks like it's like, that's why people have problems with.
Oh,
it's like
people
you
can
don't
go on
do
that topic
the research.
For
you know?
days.
For days.
Yeah, and they don't know what they're talking about. Sorry, as somebody who like does these things, I'm very like, yeah, check out Quantum. Quantum podcast hosted by Kenny Edwards.
Quantum.
But like, I'm very like big on like, if you don't know what you're talking about, you gotta like research it. So when I see scriptures like that make, it's not what we're talking about. That make
That's who you are. Go ahead.
that make people say, oh, the Bible's misogynistic. The Bible, man, you haven't done your research. You know what I mean?
you have.
Really haven't.
So let me touch on a few things. I think based on the mixed reviews that we've gotten, people assume privacy and personal time as if like it's like the same thing, but it's not.
No.
Okay,
No,
like,
not the same thing.
and you've touched on that on the previous episode about your me time and who you are individually and who you are together with your spouse.
Yeah.
Is two different things. So like, if I obviously you have your me time, if I enjoy reading or I want to take time to pray or I like to go on shopping therapy or whatever it is, that's your you time. But the moment I don't go on shopping therapy.
Right.
Just
We
saying,
thank
some
the
people
Lord.
are-
I was about to be like,
retail therapy, no. But I'm just saying, once your personal starts affecting your relationship, then that's not it's not okay anymore, right? So like, I don't know, like if you're reading or whatever and you're like, oh yeah, I like to read like 3 times a day for like 2 hours at a time or whatever, but then let's say you don't take time to clean your house or you don't take time to cook, whatever, those are things that affect your relationship. Those are, because some people are like, oh no, he doesn't, like, my me time is my me time and whatever. No, privacy is like in form of like text.
That's
right?
What I was gonna say.
Like, for me, just speaking from experience and how my household is set up, I use my husband's phone, my husband uses my phone. When you asking my husband for money, you're asking us for money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a, oh, let me ask Lisa. No, you've asked Lisa, my husband will know about it because we run this household together. And when you say like communication, stuff like that's important in a relationship, you have to be open and vulnerable in all aspects. Because the moment you give an opportunity to hide something, then your communication is broken. Or your relationship starts, you start harboring secrets and stuff like that. So for us, being open is important. Like, if my husband's having a conversation, he doesn't need to step outside to have the conversation, unless maybe it's bothering my me time, me watching TV or whatever.
Or
but
if
it's too noisy in the background, but it's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this outside. No, feel free, this is your house or whatever. If your boy is calling you up with something, go ahead and talk. If it's either you leave the room or I leave the room. But whatever y'all are talking about, if it's something that's gonna affect by you harboring that secret, it's gonna affect, I don't know, your character, your state of mind, your spirit,
your values,
and you got like, by you harboring that's gonna affect you, then that shouldn't be something that you should either have allowed like that person to share with you, or you should openly share it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, let's say when you touched on family issues, right? For me personally, I think my husband and vice versa, it's important for us to understand our family dynamics, because then we understand how certain people, or like certain people react to certain things, or the dynamic between me and my dad is a certain way because my dad has X and Y issue, right? You're not gonna see it. We're like, oh, why is maybe her dad standoffish, or why is her dad not, like, he doesn't greet people or whatever, because I've explained to you my dad and his issues and what he's struggling with, or just our history. You will understand him better, and you will understand the love that I have for him and how I respect him despite of what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if, I don't know, let's say your dad's a drunk, right? And you as me, as my dad's child, or my dad's a drunk or whatever, but I know he has all these great qualities, I need to tell you that story. I need to tell you, yeah, my dad struggles with alcohol, my dad struggles with X, Y, and Z, but look at everything else he's been able to overcome or whatever. And so because drawing that picture, how you present your family to your spouse will also allow your spouse to see them through that lens, right? Because every family has issues and no family is perfect, but even if I'm like, yo, my dad this and that, and my mom this, and my sister's got issues, whatever, but you're showing it through the lens of love, you're like, but at the end of the day, it's my family, I ride and die for them. Your husband or your wife is gonna be like, okay, they got these issues, we'll help them where we can, but I still respect them. For who they are, because you respect them.
I think there's a fine line between secrets and what's not necessary to share. And I think that's what people struggle with, because we all know that, okay, secrets are not good to have, but then there's that not necessary to share issue that's like, you don't have to tell your spouse everything either. Just because there's no privacy doesn't mean that we have to tell each other every single little thing. You can still be very open and transparent with your spouse, but know that, I mean, like, I'm not gonna tell you everything that George, Tom, and Hank told me. You know what I'm saying? Because not only is it it's irrelevant to us, and for me to tell you, there'd have to be an intent behind that. So either like I want to be supported, or maybe like I want to get your feedback, or I think we have to be more intentional about what is it that we do share, even when we don't have privacy. Because I think the bigger portion of us here do believe that we shouldn't have any privacy. But aside from that, how does that play out in like social media? Because I know that like a lot of couples now are very present on social media. Men have their business, women have their business, or they're public figures or whatever they're doing. But how does privacy play out in social media? Because I know there's couples that have their joint account,
accounts.
you know, I think it's not cute. But then there's people who have God bless them. No, but there are people who have their separate accounts, you know, and if you have a really, you know, fine wife, you got a really fine husband, like how do you
check social media? Do you check their social media? Do you read their messages? Do you
I feel like
check
if you're
DMs?
doing that,
That's
Just cause, like,
you've already lost.
So there's
no,
no
no, no.
checking?
You're backsliding with that because
Trust me, you've already lost the battle a long time
because
ago.
yeah, because
DMs
you have to
messages.
understand that like
privacy but no checking?
And I mean like a battle in your soul, in your own mind.
here's the thing, like you have to understand that you are with somebody who is attractive, right? And if people are going to, you know, people will say anything, even if they're not on social media. You don't know if your spouse is out and somebody gives them a compliment or talks to them in a certain way.
yeah.
But here's where the trust has to come in, right? So they either don't message that person at all, as in like I don't care, or it's like, okay, if it does come up and they're kind of going beyond the lines, then check them. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, you gotta check them. You gotta check.
Me and my wife, what we do
Yeah.
is like whenever like somebody, like when a man will message my wife, she, cause she's not as fun as me,
Yeah.
she will right away be like, "Oh, I'm married. Don't you see my da 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 da? Don't you see my pictures?"
Yeah.
And then she does that.
But there's
when a
some-
woman
yeah.
messages me though,
Yeah, please.
I like bring the phone to my wife. And I'm like,
Look
okay,
what
what are we
happened.
gonna say? And she's like,
What
yo,
are
stop.
we
This
gonna
is
say?
not right. Don't do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm just like responding to her like,
Yeah.
Like
and
you're going
then-
along with it?
Really?
because I'm petty.
Because you're petty.
Oh, you're petty.
I'll eventually tell her, yeah, anyways, if you would look to my profile, you'd see that.
But see,
My wife
like,
was like, just
Yeah.
stop that right away.
you have nothing to hide, and I think it just comes with trust too.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like if you were to check my phone, it'd be a problem, you're hiding something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
At the
so,
end of the day.
no privacy,
Mm.
no privacy, but don't check. Is that what you're trying to say?
Why you okay? There's no privacy,
Like, why
but
you
have
checking?
trust.
Why are
Okay,
you
no
checking?
privacy
What's
but
happening
trust.
when you-
Alright,
Exactly.
cool.
Why are
But-
you checking?
If you're checking, you already don't trust. You're checking
already
because
don't
you're
trust.
checking.
so
You don't
like you
just be
said,
like,
you already
And
lied.
Yeah.
Yo, but you know sometimes.
Like,
No.
I'll say it
No.
like this. For me, I could like go through her DM. She could go through mine. No one's gonna find anything. And we both have confidence in each other that we know that. So like, I don't know. What's the point?
What's the
What
point?
do you gain?
But if
You
you're
understand
not
what I
in a trusting relationship, you will feel the need to check. It'll be like itching you to check the phone because you feel like there's a
do
chance
you
I
think-
might find something.
Do you think
You've
that
already lost.
you
If
could
that's
already
the case.
lost.
no, but
That's
if
how
you
I-
check,
that's
no,
how I
because
look
the
at it.
thing, there's one thing to check out of anxiety, and then there's another thing to check out of incline.
no, hold on. You're
Wait,
checking
it-
out of
it-
anxiety.
Out of
You're
anxiety?
There's no.
You're checking
First
out
of
of
all,
mistrust.
I am not doing anything. Okay, I'm not doing anything. I got the lean already.
Yeah, I got the lead. So.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's a difference
What she
between checking when you're anxious because you're anxious, and then checking when
Anxious
you're
Why are
about
you
what?
anxious?
There's women and men that are just anxious, like, oh my gosh,
Because there's no trust.
or there's
Yeah.
insecurity
No.
or whatever.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's-
that's
you
their
were anxious,
But I'm
that
just
has,
saying,
no
what about
trust.
incline? When you have an incline,
A feeling.
a feeling and incline, do you feel like, okay, then and only then should I check?
Then you should have a conversation.
You have to have a conversation, but the thing
Yeah.
is, all of that relates back to
Yeah.
you.
That's how-
That doesn't relate to the person because that's you and your feelings and how you're feeling, and you need to communicate that to your partner, right? Because if you're not communicating, that's also a form of privacy in itself.
Oh.
I think that was so deep you didn't catch it.
Ooh.
Does he need to say that again?
Sick. Yeah.
Serious,
check out
it
that.
is because like, you know, for me, like when I had stuff come up, I would just have a conversation to see like, hey, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I don't trust about it. Once I put that out there and
Yeah.
we discuss about it, it actually makes it a lot easier. But
Okay.
here's the thing: if somebody's gonna cheat on you and they have the feel to cheat on you, they're gonna do it anyways.
gonna do
They're
it.
gonna do
Yeah.
it. Like if that's their intent, they'll go and do it, right? So you have to understand that it's like, okay, if the person's gonna do it, just be prepared to like let them go, and because that's something that that's an issue that they have to deal with themselves, right? And a lot of people say like, oh yeah, infidelity, like I made a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's intentional. That's really intentional.
Too much leads up to it. Too
Yeah.
much. There are too many steps and
Steps
agreements that you
before
have to
that.
make with
Exactly.
yourself
Yeah.
for you to get to that point. There's too much battles in your own mind that you have to either lose or forfeit
Yeah.
before you make
Exactly.
that mistake. There's too much that has to
And the
happen.
thing is, it's like a lot of people, like we're talking about privacy, right? You couldn't have like the audacity to actually communicate to your partner, like, hey, I'm actually feeling lonely, or I'm not having a lot of physical interaction. I'm not having
emotional
sex with you. I'm not,
privacy. I
you know
like
what I
that.
mean? And you're not communicating that with your partner, so that you have to go out and step out on with somebody else
Yeah.
just to receive that, but you couldn't communicate that to that
So
person.
you think so indirectly you're saying those things are a result of emotional privacy. Okay. Oh wow.
So when he says no privacy, it's no privacy.
so no emotional
And I
privacy.
think
or
it's
anything.
something
Yeah,
that you'd have to establish in your marriage. And like for
Beforehand.
just speaking from experience, my husband is we're both soft spoken. Well, hard to
I don't
believe.
know.
No, hard to believe.
I don't know.
But I mean, hard. Listen, no, I really am soft spoken. Like just like I don't talk a lot. I really don't. But and he's like really like a closed book.
I've never heard
Sometimes
of it.
and it takes time
Right,
for like
yeah, no,
you know
talk it out.
him to like get to when he gets to know someone, stuff that he opens up or whatever. But even in the beginning of our marriage, or even throughout our relationship, I'm more of the sharer. Like I understand the fact that we're a union and we become one. And let me tell you about my great grandmother. Let me tell you about my auntie so and so. Let me tell you about everything and everyone. So that way, when anything comes up, you know, right? Like and he's more of the
get to know me as we go.
get to know me as we go, and like he'll say something like, you know, like 5 months down the line, oh yeah, and then this happened and this. I'm like, why would you like hide it from me, or why? Or he's the
I
type
don't
of
think
Wasn't
it's
hiding,
intentional.
it's
no,
not-
no,
it's
no,
not
no,
minority,
no,
it
no,
just
no,
happened.
hold on. That's what
And
I'm
if
saying.
it
I'm
comes
not
up, it
saying.
comes up.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that for me, I've had to establish in my relationship. I've had to show him the whole oversharing and the fact that I'm open. I have nothing to hide in order to get him
Feel
to
comfortable
to
enough
open
to
up.
open up.
Because he was the type where, let's say his family calls from like abroad or whatever, and they're like having an argument or something's going on their side of the family, he would leave the room, have the conversation, and we wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like if you guys are having a family issue and it's potentially affecting you, which is gonna affect us, and that's my family who I love dearly as well, then I should know. So I would openly tell him about this is what's happening on
So you
our side, this is
demonstrate
what's
it.
happening with me,
Mhm.
to him, from him to be like, oh, okay, you know, show him what sharing or criticizing, you know, or exposing family secrets with love looked like, for him to then do it in the same way.
But the thing is, don't you think it's more of a thing that he picked up and he learned, and also behavior? And also, you have to think about most men, like how we're brought up.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you have to also put that into the
What
equation
you
too.
just described
Yeah,
sounds
no.
like it sounds like me and my wife's relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, for
so-
sure.
Inclined to- and I'm-
Exactly,
I'm just
so-
sitting there.
Yeah.
And I've
This
had,
is-
I've had
Over
to
time,
understand
things
that
will come
because
out, you know?
he's been brought up a certain way. That,
Exactly.
But because we want the interaction of our family to, or I want to set up our family in a certain way,
Yeah.
I've had to show him kind of what I like and what I'm comfortable with,
Yeah.
and we had to meet in the middle.
Yeah. I think honestly, wisdom. Guys,
That's
use
the big-
wisdom.
yeah.
If you're gonna not have privacy or have privacy, whatever works for you, just use wisdom. Even in your non-privacy, use wisdom.
People don't know what wisdom looks like, you know.
I have a
Well,
whole episode about wisdom.
Yeah, no, it's a whole
alone.
episode. No, but yeah. So I mean, do what works for you. But I think just basically here we're saying like marriage is a union. You are becoming one with this person.
Yeah. Why the privacy?
What
bruh?
the privacy, the secrets. It's like, you know, it's two. You do have your individual,
Yes,
lives
personal
and
time.
your me time, and this is what I like. We understand that, and that's very important. But also when it starts affecting your relationship and you're harboring secrets, you're creating holes in your relationship. You're actually breaking that union apart. I think is what we agree with. You're breaking that union, and having to, you know, you're gonna have to patch it up with other different things, and it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a whole mess.
It's a mess. But, you know, continue leaving your comments below. You know, is privacy a thing? Is it okay? Why or why not? Do you, you know, you put your money together? Do you share your text? Do you got your, you know, your man's passwords?
Let us know.
Men, do you go into your lady's DMs? You know, let us know.